There we go. We are live now. Hey, what's happening? Hey, you listen to OZZz on Smash Bros. Radio, the only digital radio station located in Jefferson County, Birmingham, Alabama. I have a special guest. Well, really not a special guest. It's co-host. This is the gentleman behind OZZz. This is a gentleman that if you have a problem with me being on the radio or having a podcast, you need to get in touch with him because he started this shit. So, Mr. Roger Chaney. So he's the one that started everything. So it's because of him that I started on his podcast. What was the name of your podcast?
Oh man, we had so many different names. I don't know which one was it at that time.
It had to do with politics.
Yeah, unusual politics.
Unusual politics, and started from unusual politics, and then you went back to your production company, which is
we was with Blue Ambitions with Jeremy Lee,
right,
and we just started back doing movies. Came out with a series of about 20 different projects. And coincidentally, only one won. We got nominated over 15 times for all different, projects, but we end up winning one. That was in Atlanta, and that was like 20 people in that category. Three people were from LA, and the rest were from Atlanta, and then us, of course. And we were the only ones from Alabama. So
wow.
Yeah, so we ended up winning that one. The guy who was from LA, I just kind of thought he was going to be a sure win because, he was like on his way, he just won like 3 film festivals in a row, holding his trophies like, Michael Jordan or whatever. But we ended up beating him too, man. But, he ended up going and moving on, doing great things too. He was doing stuff in Paris from what my understanding. Wow. So, yeah, he ended up still, being a bigger winner because later on he did bigger projects out overseas. So, yeah.
So I started with you with the politics, and then you went back to production and writing and creating.
Right.
And then I asked you about producing OZZz.
Right.
And we did that out of the house.
Yeah.
Started in the house.
But sometimes it ain't where you at. It's what, it's what's inside. The surrounding don't make you. It's what you make what you put out.
Right.
So for people who trying to start off, just as long as you start, that's the most important part.
Right.
Yeah. So, even if it's in the basement or wherever you can, get people together that you want to do what you do, as long as you start, that's the key. And then you don't start and just stay there, but start and progress. That means if you're working, save your money, save each check, save something.
Right.
Put it to the side and say, okay, I can buy a better mic now.
Right.
I can buy better cameras now, because I would tell people invest in a better camera first, because you want people to hear what you're saying clearly and better, and then you get to the visual part if you can't do it all at once,
Right.
So it like you said, it don't really matter where you start, just as long as you are starting. That's the most important part to your journey, and people don't understand. They want to look, down the road.
Right.
But just start.
Because it's free. You were the originator. You're
Right.
the one that started this trouble. And then I went from you to OZZz, and then Jonathan Crum
Right.
had a podcast called Outlandish Crew, and he's Mr. WTAT. Where they at though? Yeah, WTAT. Right. And then that's where I met Ralph.
So I'm pretty sure with that, maybe I mean you maybe know with the WTAT.
Right, where they at?
With that, that's the one when people was kind of informing people where police and stuff were. Okay,
right.
I'm pretty like, okay, so was he not favorable? I'm sure with police officers.
Well, initially he wasn't, but then eventually, I think that because of him, because of his substance.
Oh, okay.
And because of his character, because that people judge you originally when you start having trouble. But then when you have a strong constitution and strong character, they realize that maybe they have misjudged you.
Right.
And so initially they didn't, but then came full force to where they realized that he wasn't out to start trouble.
Right.
He was out to minimize the trouble.
Yeah. And so on his aspect of it is like the flashing light theory. You riding past and you like, hey, I just passed the police officer and then I flash the lights at you to warn you that they're up there. So I'm
Right.
telling you, hey, for your benefit, slow down, be safe. But I guess from their point of view, they not trying to, they'll say they're not trying to catch anybody, but they're just saying, hey, we may be trying to bust somebody or
Right.
do that, and you're letting people know where we're at. Maybe that kind of interferes with that. So you kind of see both aspects of it.
Right.
But like you said, it's the character of him. I'm sure he wasn't trying to interrupt
Oh no.
on their
No.
job, and that he was just
Right.
trying to like the flashing light theory. Hey, slow down, the police are over here. So that I'm pretty sure that was his intent.
Right.
Right,
He was just out there to help the community as well as help the police officers
right.
out.
Good.
And then we would do. He was doing the Outlandish crew over at Smash Bros Radio, the
Okay.
old place over in Fairfield, and that's where I met Ralph.
Yep.
And then from there to here, that's how I wound it up. So
Right.
if anybody has a problem, you need to get in touch with Roger because Roger's the one that started all of this. So, but I
mean,
wanted to.
people gonna have a problem anyway. It don't matter if you was a pastor.
Right.
People nowadays wake up trying to find a problem.
Right, right. So, but I wanted to publicly acknowledge and tell you how much the gratitude and appreciation that I have for you having the trust because for you to produce the show, you were actively involved in your own production.
Right.
So you was coming off of your time
Mm.
to come to the house where you could have been using that same time in your production company with your films and all. So I appreciate you tremendously for doing that.
I appreciate you saying that. And to piggyback off of that, just for people to get an understanding, like, I know people do things to elevate their career, to get accolades, to be great. But if there's no good involved in it of giving back or helping others, then it's a waste of time. Because I feel like I can be ambitious all through my life,
Mm-hmm.
but it's frowned upon God to be that way. So if a kid comes to me and pulls on my shirt and say, hey, I want to do what you do, can you help me? And I don't take the time out to at least teach them something, then I'm not doing anything meaningful. So that don't have to be a kid, it could be anybody. If somebody just asks for help or they want you to help them set up, you find the time to do those things, because at the end of the day, that's what you want to do, is have a imprint on the world. So if I'm gone or leave and people say, well, this is how this started, you're going to always have that through that legacy of helping people as well.
From your early start, I think that what we needed, I wanted to acknowledge you, but also I wanted people to understand that everything that you have was not given to you. You had to
Right.
work hard for it.
Right.
And when we were talking about Crumb, because of the reputation of what people claimed as a reputation,
Right.
you had a similar situation because people misjudged you.
Right.
And so what I wanted to do was serve two purposes, was to bring you on to acknowledge and to show you the appreciation that I do for you teaching me this, but
Right.
also for people to understand that there's history behind you.
Right.
There's a history that got you to where you are. So if you don't mind, if you start from how everything evolved to where you are now,
Yeah.
because people look at the end result, they don't understand that you worked hard to get what you have.
Yeah.
You went through a lot. And then not only do you have a production company, but you're a creator, you're a producer, you're a director, you're a writer, you're an author,
Right.
and also you have your own clothing apparel.
Basketball team.
So you have all of this,
Right.
but it didn't occur all at once. It was a growth, and you use that growth to your
Right.
advantage.
Right.
So this is your show. Go for it.
Yeah, when it comes to that, like I started with saying, people be like, how do you, do this? Don't make things hard, for one. You know what I'm saying? The mind is where it's at. Like, that's where it starts. If you want to let's just say you at the house, and, because one thing a hater gonna say is you got too much on your plate. why you worry about what I'm eating anyway?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just worry about what's on your side. So you know, when I go to the restaurant, I don't walk in to look at what's on somebody's plate to say they're eating too much, but I look and say, dang, that looks good. I might try that. So if somebody has great success in something and I say, man, I want to do that, I'm gonna try to do that. And that's what my mindset is. Like, when anything I want to do, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna make calls. Of course, it's not gonna be anybody in Birmingham because they're not gonna help you. Sorry, Birmingham. I love Birmingham, but you know, I love the old Birmingham, not the
Right.
new Birmingham. So don't take it wrong. But um, I'll make the calls that's necessary that I have to make when it comes to finding out how to get better with something or start or whatever. But for me, it was this is why I said don't kill a kid's imagination. As much as adults do it, we do it. We kill the curiosity of a kid, and we kill great creators. Maybe
Right.
you know how you buy your kid some shoes, right? They might be $50, a little toddler, maybe like 3 or 4 years old. You buy $50 shoes or whatever. You know, I'm not telling anybody to do with their money, but kind of get a little cheaper shoes because they gonna run through them and grab them anyway. But you get you some expensive shoes. They go and it's raining outside and it's a puddle right there, and that kid jumps in that puddle. Your mind is like, no, you messing up your shoes. Their mind is like, I just want to see what this puddle's gonna do if I jump in it. They're
Right.
not. Their mind is not thinking I'm trying to mess up these shoes that my parents just bought.
Right.
Their mind is just curious and it's creative, so it wants to see how things work. Regardless of us, we just think that's just a kid, but we forget we were that kid at one point.
Right.
So it started with me like that, growing up and just being isolated, being in solitude, not because you know people didn't want to deal with me, but I grew up with mom, grandma, auntie, sister. So I grew up with a bunch of women, and throughout that time, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I was an emotional person. I was everything I reacted to, everything bothered me, and I'm not saying that because they were women. I just never had the understanding, of of a man. Um, so I'm not taking credit away from them because my grandma and my mom did a great job, but I also spent a lot of time alone and just being being in a creative space. Things that I like were creative. So wrestling, football, basketball, all those things took stuff. It took somebody to put that together. Eventually, my mind was going to look at that stuff and say, how does this happen? How do people put this together and make it happen? So everything I see, everything I see and I want to do, I just figure out how to do it. But just growing up in the neighborhoods I grew up in, we had at the time it was more people friendly, I guess you would say, versus when and also I seen that neighborhood shift later to where it wasn't people friendly, and things were kind of like gang related or crew or neighborhood related. So you're in the chaos, you'll miss the chaos. So it's easy to get sucked into that negativity because our minds have been groomed to adapt to negativity.
Correct.
So a lot of people can't find themselves out of a negative way because they have been groomed to that. You notice how we pull up at a light and we see two people on drugs or homeless people arguing, and our first thing we just looking at it.
Right.
Some people record it.
Right.
Some people publicize it to show that, and they minds drawn to the accident. You slowing down to see, oh, what's going on over there? But if a kid walks up to you on the weekend, they trying to raise money for their football team, we try to do everything we can to avoid rolling that window down.
Right.
And those same kids later on remember that. They remember getting ignored as kids. Remember, as adults, we are the ones who are responsible for not killing a kid's dream.
Right.
Some kids are strong enough to make it through all of that stuff, though. So, with me personally, I started just through that venture, just having a mind to just say, okay, this is what I believe, this is what I want to do, and it comes with it don't. It's easier said than done mentality. I know people say that, but make things easier done than said.
Right.
That's what you're supposed to have a mind like, okay, man, I ain't talking. I'm just finna get going. I'm finna do it. And people say, well, my life is like this. You dictate that. You know what I'm saying? You can't let a situation that happened to you or a circumstance or anything dictate how you move for going forward.
Right.
The greatest man, the greatest leader to me was Malcolm X. Just telling a girl out there about that. Malcolm X did 10 years in prison. He robbed, he committed the crime of robbery, and then he got 10 years in prison. In prison is where he found the Islamic faith, and he became a great master of speaking and a great master of debater. So for him, that was a skill, and it's something he felt he had a passion for. And you can see in his delivery how sharp he was, how intelligent he was. But if you go back and look, people will say he was dead and done when he got the 10 years. But he got past that circumstance and became a greater man and became a better man. And what made him that, if he didn't have those troubles, he wouldn't have never been, and went to prison, we wouldn't have never seen the Malcolm X or knew who Malcolm X was.
Right.
And we will never see another one. But great leaders don't come around like that in another 100 years, maybe. You're not going to see great leaders like that. So as much as people like to believe they're the most woke people and the most conscious and the most power or driven people, you're not.
Right.
You're not that guy, or you're not that girl. I'm not taking nothing away from you, but you know some stuff. But at the same time, we're in a generation of woke people that feel like everything you eat is bad.
Right.
You go and eat you some broccoli. Oh, you can't eat broccoli. Oh, okay. Go give me some banana's not good for you. Oh, dang. What I'm supposed to eat? Just air?
Right.
I'm supposed to eat air now? No, you can't even eat air because they putting fake air out there. So you don't watch what you eat. So yeah, it's just now you just have to, but it is true though. Food is important, but not just food that you eat, as far as like for digestion part, but food that you take in is thought. That's why you got, food for thought. Even this conversation is food, because whatever you take in is very important. So when you on the journey and on the road to doing great things, the food that you take in from other people is important. If you're taking in junk, then of course your life is not going to progress. People you hang around daily, and only gossip, talk about mess. What do you think? Your mind is going to be groomed to.
Right.
So for me, I'm always thinking about learning and figuring out how to get better and progressing what I'm doing. And as much as people say that's boring, I don't care. I feel like I'm not accomplishing nothing because I need to make $1 million ASAP.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like all of us can make it, $1 million. All of us trying to do something and make it in life. If I make $1 million, that don't stop nobody else from making it. It's a lot of money out here. So everybody needs to make $1 million, $2 million in the next 5 years or less that want to do something. I'm putting that on myself, and I'm putting that on everybody out there that's listening who want to do better. We need to make money. Millions.
In your earlier days, it kind of somewhat shaped you.
Right.
But then in your older days, you went through a dramatic experience.
Right.
That pretty much, I'm not going to say changed your way of thought, but when you go through a death process,
right,
and there's a possibility that you're not going to survive, and you do survive, people say it's a warped sense of learning. I don't think that it's a warped sense of, you just have a better understanding,
right,
or you're on that next level.
Right.
Like I told everybody, once I was diagnosed with myasthenia gravis, they gave me 6 weeks to a year.
Right.
I was a sophomore in college. I had just started. Wait, you telling me I have 6 weeks to a year? I'm just starting. So I don't see things as what other people see.
Right.
I don't take for granted things like, people laugh at me because I like nature anyway. But when it comes
Right.
to trees, when it comes to butterflies, it just fascinates me because of going to that next level.
Right.
Now you experienced something worse than that because what you were shot.
Yeah. So people say that, they'll say, well, you were shot. And to me, I know that sounds bad, but I remember 50 Cent was doing the interview and they asked him about being shot 9 times. And they was like, well, you made it out. So how does that feel? And for me, I got shot right on the left side of my head. So people be like, the left side of the back of my head. So people be like, how did that, feel? For me, the worst pain in my life was not that. The worst pain in my life was actually getting wisdom teeth pulled and at an older age and going through the after effects of it, believe it or not. So I remember 50 Cent said that. And I was like, man, nobody will understand that if you haven't been shot, which I don't want nobody to be go get shot to say, oh, let me compare. So nah. But that did make me look at things because you had that out of body experience that places you in a place next to God. And sometimes that placement ain't what people think. It's not like you sitting next to God and he's like, come on, my son,
Right.
When I heard the voice of God, it was more so a correction. Like, you got to do this. Like, you got to do this. The only way this is going to be right is if you do this going forward. And it wasn't clear until I understood and thought about, like, this is what he's saying. So sometimes, we have a mind that thinks that, this is what's supposed to be because we're taught this religion. We're taught this is how you worship. But at the end of the day, we're gonna all miss out if we don't do it the way that it's supposed to be done, not how somebody tells you to do it. Because at the end of the day, it's a relationship.
That's it.
It's a relationship. I can't. With my kids, if you come in and say, "Hey, this is how you supposed to have a relationship with your dad," you a stranger, right?
Right.
No, me or the kids. You just come in and say, "Hey, this is how you talk to your dad. This is how you have a relationship." And you like, huh? So at the end of the day, it's up to us to have a relationship with God on our level.
That's it.
On our level, it's up to us to have the conversations how we want to have them.
Because it has nothing to do with religion.
Right.
Once you go through that near-death experience, religion's out the door.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's one-on-one.
Right.
So when I came home, my grandmother took me back to the house.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, I was mascot. I was lifting weights. I was looking good for a damn white.
Right.
So I was lifting weights, and I was looking good. But my grandmother told me to go in and to pray.
Right.
She said, be honest, be sincere, open yourself up. And so I did. I opened up and I prayed and told him, I don't know what's going on, but I know that I'm scared.
Right.
I know that I need your guidance. I need some type of understanding. So all that religion that I was taught went out because that's one-on-one.
Right.
It's not, but you're not supposed to do this. It has nothing to do. It's how you communicate with your God.
Right.
It's how you and God situates or handles your situation because each situation is different.
Correct.
So that took me to, now my grandmother was very religious, so I was raised in the church.
Right.
This had nothing to do with church.
Right. And some of the church aspects is good. I never want to say religion is bad, but I just don't.
You don't rely on it too much.
Really rely on it, right?
No.
But the church, bringing me up in the church, it had a percentage of where I am now.
Right.
So when I see like Facebook posts say we need to get kids back to church, I totally agree because it adds a structure, not so much the religious aspect of it, just the structure aspect of it needs to be embraced in the homes. Right. But the kids of now are the parents of me who kind of like got away from the way that was before,
right?
That was taught to them because they didn't like it or they didn't have. So I don't know, man. I think that it's not only religion, it's not church anymore. And I know people say I'm a spiritual person, but do you realize that it takes more work to be spiritual than religious? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it takes more work because you really got to be, like you said, you got to be in tune with everything. Nature, that's, nature, when you sit down and you say you're a spiritual person, you got to question, are you doing more praying or praising?
Right. See?
You know what I'm saying? Because spiritual means that you're doing more praising
Right.
than you are praying. You know what I'm saying? Every time you go to God, hey, I need this. Lord, get me out of this trouble. It is never thank you for what you have done. Thank
That's
you
it.
for getting me here. And people be like, well, how do you know how my relationship is with God? I know based off of how you treat other people.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? If your kid constantly is taught like how moms do, go ask your daddy. They never say go check on your daddy. They never say go see how he's doing. Go check on your daddy. Go check with your daddy. I mean, see if he got it. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
and I'm not, some people like, here we go with this. No, I'm not talking about all moms or whatever, but we just don't teach the right way to have relationships.
Right.
Not just in the kid mom aspect, just overall on how to interact. I remember going to Walmart maybe last month. I'm trying to, these free advertisements for y'all. Y'all got to send me a check because I love Arizona green tea. So happens that they keep them in the packs over by the water in Walmart. So I'm walking with the cart. And then the girl who works there just comes, well, she's stocking.
Mm-hmm.
So she's stocking stuff. So she just pulls the cart and blocks the aisle. So I can't get by. I'm like, hey, I was moving to go through. Oh, okay. And just yanked it. No sense of awareness or courtesy to
right.
Leave the aisle open or hey, I'm sorry. Like I remember when I was little, what made things so good about going to these restaurants was how you get the whole feel.
Right.
Customer service, great. Hey, welcome to so and so. May I take your order? Now it's like, hold on. Then you're like, damn, okay, hold on. Like that's, hey, how you doing? Hold on for a second. Everything is on my time.
Right.
Even though you the customer, you're on my time.
Right.
Customer is always right is out the window. So people aspect of how they do things. Like I think people would go further in life if they understood building relationships the proper way.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Like people only look for, like people are day-to-day relationship people now. What can you do for me today? And I might not need you tomorrow, but I just need you today. Mm. But they're not thinking like, I might need him 10 years from now.
Right.
So today that I need him, thank you, man. I appreciate that. If you need anything, hit me up. Let me know. And if I can help you, I will.
Right.
Then you close it out with that. And that keeps that relationship where it can be 10 years from now, you can reach out. But it's like nowadays, you can do a million great things for someone. And you do one bad thing that they don't like, then
you're out the door.
You're out the door. So I give you a prime example for basketball. For me, I have so many people come in and out, and they guys come in and out, and they say, "Well, I love this organization. They did this and that, X, Y, and Z. They were so dirty over there." And I be like, "Dang, that's messed up." When I first started, I was like, green to this stuff. I'm like, "Man, that's messed up." Well, you come over here, man, we gonna get you your playing time. I'm not gonna promise you getting overseas, but I'm gonna try my best to get recruiters as much as I can to come watch or whatever I can do. But I can't I'm getting tapes from guys from all over. So I get local kids and local men, not kids but men, to come play. And you start to see where, dang, your organization wasn't wrong. I see why they didn't want to deal with you.
Right.
And you don't know how to have a relationship. You don't know how to communicate that you're going to be late for practice. You don't know how to communicate that you're not coming to practice.
Right.
So things like that. And then when you let them go, you're the next organization that they're talking about.
Right.
But in that midst of things, they don't tell you, Chaney got me a job.
Right.
Chaney said, hey, you got these tickets. All right, I'm gonna pay these tickets off, so you ain't got this warrant. But all they're gonna say is he let me go.
He let me go.
He cut me and he released me. But they don't tell you what else was done. The great things. So people have their way of telling stories that benefits them, benefits people to draw on their side. That's why you have that natural. It's so natural for people now that they know they're wrong, and they'll go to Facebook and find somebody else who's going to agree with them that they're wrong.
That's it.
Because it's people out there that have a mindset like them.
To give them credence.
To give them that, say, yeah, now I can sit back. That's a sign of relief. I'm wrong, but I got somebody who's going to back me up. So it's like I had a guy who he wasn't reliable, right? We had 3 exhibition games. He came to the home game, coincidentally. He didn't have to travel. But the other 2 games, one game we went to Savannah. He didn't show up. I'm like, dang, he didn't tell me, Then we had another home game, but he went to go play with the other team.
Oh, wow.
So I brought him back in because one of the players said, hey, man, we need him back. And I was like, man, he wasn't reliable when he was here.
Right.
So I said, but this your call, I'll let you do it. So when we set back up and we get the new season going, which is upcoming, and we got players new coming in and we're ready to go into January and we're ready to play. So he tells that player, I'm gonna drop 35 on y'all. And that's out of a place of malice, and I'm mad because I'm not on this team.
Right.
But in my head, I'm not taking it personal. I'm just looking at it like, well, why you couldn't drop 35 when we needed you to drop them over here?
Right.
Against teams where we needed you to be reliable. So a lot of people sit comfortably in their wrongdoings nowadays, and that's why a lot of people don't go farther in life, because they have relationships with people who are going to amen everything that they do and not say, hey, man, that's not right. So you need a hey man person, not an amen person. So a hey man person going to say, hey man, you wrong.
That's it. With everything that you've gone through,
mm-hmm.
Does that help? Because you have 2 boys, correct?
No, you off a lot of numbers.
I mean,
you off a lot of numbers. I got 4 boys, 1 girl.
So, with what you've gone through, has that dictated how you raise your boys and your girl?
Nah. Yeah, at first it did. But we in a new age now. The way the way my parents parented me, it can't be done that way. As much as you want to, but you can't. Prime example, I was Central Park Elementary. I was Miss Martin was my principal. My grandmother and her weren't friends, and I don't say that in a bad way. They just were real tight to talk to each other and have conversation enough to tell them about flowers that I'm planting in my house, and this is what I'm doing on the weekend type conversation. So that built trust between my grandmother and the school.
Mm-hmm.
So you feel comfortable, like, when you send your kid to school, that's their parent at that time from those 8 hours or whatever. So my grandmother built a relationship with Miss Martin, and my mom had a rapport and relationship with my teachers. Miss Martin was the principal, so I remember I got in trouble. I don't know what I did, because that list is long. But at that time, I don't know what I did, but it was enough to give Miss Martin that she paddled me. She gave me a paddle. She paddled me in her office, and she called my grandma. Hey, I paddled Roger because he was doing so and so. My grandma said, "Okay, hold him in the office. I'm on my way." And then my grandma whooped me.
Wow.
I was like, I only did 1 thing, not 2. So why did I get 2 whoopings? But the thing is, you can't. It's not that same framework. So if we have the Miss Martin now, you're gonna have parents. Why you put your hands on my kid?
Right.
Because you need to be putting your hands on your kid, because that's the correction, of what we need. Certain kids, you can sit them down and say, hey, this is what's what. And they get it right. All right, I messed up. I go forward and do it right. Then some kids, You need Mike Tyson blows on them. You know?
Right.
So it's like, but you can't say that stuff. You can't do that stuff now. Oh, man, let's call DHR. Let's get this going and figure this out. But yeah, it makes it more challenging because
you have 4 boys, and each one of
right.
those boys are different.
Well,
and then you have a little girl.
I say it's more challenging. Let me tell you what's challenging. The kids are not challenging.
Okay.
It's 2 things that make it 3. I'll give you the list, and it's not a particular order. Society, other kids that surround them,
mm-hmm.
and the other parent. And I'll tell you why.
So it's like co-parenting?
Yeah, co-parent. So society has changed the normal and made things seem normal. That we would have got, other kids would have got put in the locker for, beat up out of school. Now it's more accepted and it's more people friendly on thoughts and how you do things, which is violence is never away, but things are more different and you're more restricted as a person on your belief system and how you should be on your kids. Because society says no, this is what you should do. Then I'll say other kids, because how other parents raise their kid have an effect on my kid.
Correct.
They share the same space when they go to school, when they in sports or whatever. So the influence level today is greater than it was when I was coming up. So influence is social media. You got all this type of stuff that influences a lot of these kids to make them believe that they should be this way. And you'll have adults say, well, that's on your parenting. No, let me tell you this. I see adults out here that fall for the okie doke all the time. So even grown-ups are easily influenced nowadays.
Right.
So kids are very much so, they smart now. They're smarter than we were, but they're just not as intelligent. And what I mean by that, they don't know how to maneuver and do things. You could have dropped me off in New York City at 9 or 10 years old. I would have found my way home. Kids nowadays, they're just more book smart. They can do a lot of those things. But that's another thing. Just other kids and how they're raised being around my kids. Then the co-parenting aspect. You got another parent that has a ideology that doesn't match as yours when you're not in the same house. That's why, as I'm older now, I don't regret the kids, but I just regret not having the understanding and education of only having kids with people you're going to be married to, and you're going to try your best to make that work.
Right.
Because when you split that household, it's the most difficult thing you can do, because whatever you do on your end may seem right. You're going to do things that you're doing right, but you're going to feel it's right. But the kid may see it as wrong.
Right.
The parent, their mom may see it as wrong. Their grandma, granddad, their whole family may see it as wrong. But you coming in a natural place where you see down the road. I don't look at the right now. I'm doing this stuff now for him or her down the road.
Right.
I had an incident with my daughter. I was so mad at her, man. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I didn't even want her name on my Christmas tree ornament from on my Christmas tree. And it was back when we had a conversation in July. She's like, Dad, can I have $200 for school? But the conversation before that was, hey, how you doing? And I was like, whoa, hold up. I dropped the phone. I said, dang, my daughter's asking me how I'm doing. This is a first. I can't believe it. You know?
Right.
I'm excited. She said, what you doing? I'm watching TV. What you doing? Talking to my friend. Okay. How's things going? You know, just having, what you watching on TV? I'm watching this. Okay. I never heard of that show. Great conversation through text, of course, and then it's over after that. So the next day, I'm all through. I'm happy, proud father, like she just graduated. So hey, she asked me how I was doing. You know, that made me feel great.
Right.
And then later on that night, oh, I forgot. Can I have $200? Can can I have $200 for school? Which is not a problem.
Right.
But she made it a problem. So I was like, okay, we'll talk about it tomorrow when I come down there, and get some understanding. And then she responded back. She's like, well, if you're going to come down here with that negativity, I'd rather not see you. I said, oh, what? Hold up now. So then I said, call, have a phone. She's not picking up. I said, why you not picking up the phone? I don't like talking on the phone. Okay. So the phone that I paid you $100 to have, you don't want to pick it up. So we have a conversation, and it's the level of disrespect. She hung up in my face. So I know, the feeling. You can't just pinpoint it and say that's her mom.
Right.
But I can feel that's her mom.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So holding on to past issues that I was 21 and she was 19.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I was a kid, and people like, no, you weren't. I'm talking about mentality wise. Right. I didn't know a thing. I didn't know how to do you right. I didn't know how to respect you or any of that. But I come to know that everybody who writes the book, when they write a book, they control the story.
Correct.
So they're going to say what they have to say. And I accept people's perspective, even if I don't agree with it.
Right.
But when it comes to that, that's the hardest challenges when it comes to that. Because I want my boys to be tough, but I also want them to be compassionate.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want them to be 100% all tough, rugged. I want them to be rugged when they have to be. I want them to be compassionate when they need to be. So I want them to have an aspect of understanding what life is about before they get hit with it. I don't want my boys to be taught how to be a man when they become a man.
Right. They
need to know that as they are being boys, they need to be trained. And that's the thing that we as parents, moms and dads and the schools believe in, just, hey, you need to learn. No, I'm more trained person. You need to be trained to be this way, and this is how this is supposed to go.
Right. You
can't sit here and tell me, well, this, that. No. How do you know that? I've been a kid before. You have never been an adult. I'm telling you what you're going to see.
Right.
But I understand that even with God, he shows you the vision.
Correct.
He shows you the vision, but he never shows you the path. So you gotta go that path. And when it comes to the boys, I'll show them the vision, but their path is on them.
Right.
They gotta understand their purpose in life. Like we tell people, purpose. But your purpose evolves every time you get older. When you get older, your purpose evolves. Your mentality evolves. When you add people in your life, that purpose evolves. It's supposed to. So your purpose as a kid won't be the same purpose as you are as an adult.
Right.
So we get stuck as these Christians or religious people. They get stuck on one purpose. And reality is you may have one purpose, but it has to evolve into something greater. So that's what I try to teach my kids, and teaching them that. Then you go to send them to a school, and then you got your sexy red type girls that they got to run into, and your guys who have parents, boys that they want to be gangsters or thugs.
Right. And
then I'm facing all of that. So parenting is a challenge, but when they do something great, I never give them the credit, because I'm not gonna do that. That's on you. I feel like you be proud. I remember asking my son, he had AB honor roll, my oldest. I said, how you feel about it? He said, I'm good. It's good, but I could do better. And that's what I want to hear.
Right.
Because I don't want nothing less than perfection. That means if you get all A's, good job.
Right.
AB is still failure. You got to exceed my expectations. Even if Daddy said this is his bar, I want to go past that.
Right.
So that's why I want them to be greater than what not greater than me. Because my kids, people say, I want my kids to be better than me. It's not a competition. It's not a comparison. Their life is their life. I want them to be better than they were yesterday.
Right.
So they supposed to set the bar for themselves and be better than they were yesterday. And that's how I want them to be in this world.
Now, you've written a book. What's the name of your book?
The first one was Built Tough. And if I could rewrite that one, I would. Because at that time, I was 24 when I wrote it. And I was also facing 40 years in prison.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was when somebody broke into my house. And, of course, when it comes to gunfire and stuff like that, I shot one of the guys. As they were shooting, they shot at me and my homeboys. And one of the guys got shot in response to what I was doing. But you know how the laws go. When somebody leaves your house, they're no longer the aggressor. So you're the aggressor. But it just so happens that, God being on my side in that aspect, or God knowing the path, because I didn't know the path at that time, but that was going to happen, and all those charges was dropped over a matter of a year and a half, going through court cases and doing all that. So you see, and that put me in a different mind, because my mom was doing whatever she could to get houses put up to get me out of jail at the time. My wife at the time, granddad put up his house, 2 houses, and then my cousin put up his house. And then I ended up getting out. But you go through court and you see so much of how alone you're going to be in this life.
Right.
I didn't have anybody but my grandmother and my homeboy. He was only there to be a witness to tell what was what. But at the time, I just saw my grandma. She had no knowledge to what happened, but she was just there. I remember getting out of county jail at 3 a.m, and my grandma was there with her walking stick that she always had. Grandma owned a gun, but her main weapon was that stick. I don't know, like a Ninja Turtle or something. But she hit a dog with it, whatever she had to do. But she was out there at 3 a.m, county. And I remember coming out, and she gave me the tightest hug that I ever felt in my life, and it was the best hug that I ever felt to this day, because I felt the love on that. I felt that everything. It was a message in that hug. It was, don't give up. You in the fight of you finna fight it. You finna be in the fight of your life. And I don't need you to be weak. I need you to be strong, because the easiest time to be a soldier is when there's not a war going on.
That's it.
So when you step up to the plate and you're facing adversity, that's when you have to be a real soldier. You have to be able to fight through all the negativity aspects and what people think and what their thoughts of you are. Oh, he had to do he had to do it. God bless the dead, but my dad was like, he's in there, so he had to do it. That killed every little bit of relationship we had. And I didn't talk to him for years. And right before he died, we did have a conversation, and we mended that. But I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to do that. But just the understanding of things you go in and through life, right?
Right.
Every fight you go through in life, people can see it, and then years later, they have no respect for it.
Right.
They don't care what you've been through. They don't care what you've been through. The only thing they care about is themselves.
Right.
So you have ownership to everything you go through. You have ownership to how you believe, what you know, and things like that. So when people say there is no God, I always say, well, what is it based on? A lot of people believe in God. I don't believe in God. I have to know God.
Right.
In order for me to get past all of this stuff that I had to go through, I had to know God. Because you only with yourself.
Right.
So when you by yourself and you're in solitude, you're going to either go crazy or or you're gonna either reach out and talk to him. And in that point, that's why people be like, why people go to jail and always get to know God? Well, because you in solitude. You ain't got nobody else to talk to. You better figure it out.
That's it.
So
what would you change about the first book? Have you ever thought about rewriting it or
yeah, I
having
was
a
in a
part
different
two?
mind. Yeah, it was a different mind at that time. The target audience was different at the time. I was reaching out to young folks and older people, and at this point, I would just reach out to a certain age group, meaning third grade to maybe sixth, seventh grade, third grade through seventh grade, and just tell stories of school and what happened, troubles in school and things like that. Because I feel like at a certain age, you kind of set in your ways,
Right.
and it's like if parenting can't fix it, I don't think nothing will. With certain kids, um, and some kids you find you might knock a little dust off and they'll clean it up. Um, but adults, they're set in their ways. So my target would be just the kids uh, in certain areas. I want to always be a advocate for the kids that go through things or feel like nobody's there for them.
Right.
Because in reality, we have to be okay with being in solitude sometimes. We have to understand a man that's in solitude for a majority of his life is one of the strongest men you'll find.
Right.
Because they don't depend on people. They don't depend on other people's thoughts about them. They don't depend on having a validation from society.
Correct.
So that's how I am when it comes to who I am as a person. Now, don't get me wrong. People are gonna be people. I don't want another me around, 100 or me around. Like, cause I like to talk to different people with different thought processes, and I do like to hear great conversations from other people's point of views and their past in life. Cause I take that and I say, man, that's amazing, and I learn something from it. So I'm always constantly evolving with my knowledge. So, and you get that from other people and their experiences, you know.
So you got how many books you got?
Well, that was the first one, so it'll be 3.
3.
So that one was more about me, and that was built tough. The second one was called Absent. And Absent was a detective novel, a mystery novel about a murder. And that was one of my best books people was buying. And these are not out, but I still have them, so I might come back out with them.
Okay.
And the other one was Nefarious, which was created into a movie. And what was crazy was that's how I got into doing film. That wasn't really the start. I worked at the movie theaters. I always liked the looking at how people felt excited to go see Spider-Man. Like, people was outside. Oh, I'm going to get the early showing. I'm going to be there Thursday midnight.
Right.
To get this. And I was like, man, these people care. This is a content that people want to see. Like, the feeling of how people felt to see, and they were so excited like a kid on Christmas, grown people. Here to see Fast, Furious, Spider-Man, all these action movies or whatever was coming out. And I was like, okay, I love working at the movie theaters. Then I got older, like I said, I wrote Nefarious, and I was like, okay, I want to sell this book, but I want to do a commercial. God bless the dead with Run Tez. He was taking pictures for the book, and then I said, man, let's do like a miniature commercial, like to sell it. And then I was like, man, after it was done, I said, this looks good. Why can't we do a movie? And then we shot a movie, and that did good. I enjoyed everything. Like, it was important to me now to hold on to those moments, because then social media was around, but it wasn't big. Everybody in that film group were deeply involved in building the chemistry, and it was so natural. We all had great conversation. We were all different walks of life, but it was fun to do the movie, and we had a great time. So I did that, and come to find out, they just did a Nefarious this year, another movie. I think it hit Netflix or HBO Max, one of them. So I see stuff like that, and it's like, man, I had that title first. I'm not saying that they took it because I don't want to come out with no allegation like that, but I had that title way back in 2012. So it's like, it's exciting, it's fun to write, but I have lost my desire because I have nothing to talk about right now. So I'm kind of in a space now where I'm not even going to write anything until it leads me to write, because if I do it, like when Andre said he don't have nothing to talk about with music,
right?
I get it. I totally get it, because it's like, I love music, I love films, I love reading scripts, but I also am not in the place right now where I have anything I want to talk about.
And plus, see, that's what he's bringing out. I mean,
right.
I'm 40 years old.
Right.
I'm thinking about my health.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not thinking about having sex with girls or anything like this. I'm in a different mindset.
Right.
And then there were some people that came out and criticized him because of his of the flute. But he's beat out rappers because of his album.
Right. And my thing is, we can't control everything.
Right.
21 Savage was coming out with the most gruesome music, right? At one point, kill, murder, do this, and then now he's evolved into something else that people like, nah, I still want that old stuff. I still want that old Gucci man. It's like, well, he's not that person no more. So it's not going to be as authentic. It's not going to be, he's not that hungry anymore. He's multi-millionaire now. It's like,
he's in a different mindset.
Your mind is different. So it's like, I can't give you what you want, but you still have that there.
But see, that's something to remember too, because you come from the hood.
Mm-hmm.
You associated with the hood. You were part of the hood. The hood was your base. That was your home. Now all of a sudden you become this multimillionaire or this millionaire.
Right.
You have nothing in common with your homies.
Right.
And even though you want that connection with your homies, you can't have that connection because it goes back to the same sin, being jealous.
Right.
We come from the same place. What makes you better than me?
Right.
I mean, we used to do all this. I'm in a different mindset.
Well, people do it now, man. Think about it. People do it on the level of where we at. I ain't got nothing right now. It's just I just take care of my kids. Most of my money goes that way. Like I get what I want, because my mind is not on materials no more.
Right.
It's about wealth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So people want financial freedom. But I don't preach financial freedom, because it's no money on that, right? It's just you financially free. You don't owe nothing. You don't have to pay stuff, and that's cool. But I'm more like, okay, let's not have nothing to pay, but at the same time, let's have enough money that we done made that if we do want another car, another house, let's go pay cash for it.
Correct.
Let's not finance it. Let's not be held to 5 years on the car. Let's not be held to 30 years on the house, or 15, whatever the case may be. That's where I'm at. But at the same time, you look at the girl who went overseas with her friends, right? And got killed, beat up real bad, and they left her to die.
Right.
So jealousy is on all kinds of levels.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It brews, and people have no understanding. They be like, I ain't got nothing. I don't have a dime to my name. Why this person jealous of me? Because your spirit is louder than you as a person.
Exactly.
Everything matters. The food that you eat is an aura. Like, first and foremost, you think you better than me because you eat healthier. You think you better than me because you work out.
Right.
You think you better than me because you clean and you groom yourself and you dress, you smell good. You think you better than me. Because those people are not doing that.
Right.
So they are upset with themselves, and when you come around, you are the mirror of what they want to be.
That's it.
So things are that you could have a homeless guy that has a spirit of great communication, and people come and draw to him, but this billionaire has billions of dollars, and people will say, I'm gonna go over here and see what this billionaire talking about. And then you realize he don't know what he's talking about. Then you go talk to a homeless guy. He got the gift of gab, and he's great. And this billionaire's like, why is this man homeless? I got all the money. What y'all want to hear from him? So people say it goes back to the question. It's like, okay, 500,000 or dinner with Jay-Z. You're not guaranteed to get any useful information in that conversation. So you take the 500K and you go make that grow and do what you go do. But the thing is, we have to understand we are tied more to people that we don't know,
right,
than the people we should be loving on. Like I seen people more hurt over a celebrity dying than their own mom or dad or grandparent. Man, I can't believe so and so. You didn't know him,
right?
You didn't know him. This man could have been a sex trafficker for all we know. But you just see what the image you see.
That's it.
And it's like you can't be compassionate enough to love the people that's right there with you. But that's the commonality of life, though. Our brothers fight each other because they see each other every day.
Right.
Like I tell my youngest, hey, I don't support that, but one thing you're not gonna do is fight in front of everybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all gonna learn a level of respect to each other, like when it comes down to it, because people want to see that. They want to see families bickering. That's why COVID really drew people apart. And you see the over the top stuff now where people will dismiss their own family. And I ain't got nothing else to say to them. But if a dad dismisses his kid, no, you can't do that.
Right.
You can't do. Well, why can't you do what you do?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Why can't you not talk to this person? Why can't you say, reach out to him? And like, you know what? We'll make it right. Ego and pride is the most deadliest thing to a person's advancement. The first sin in the world was pride. The devil had so much pride that he thought he could be like God, that he got put out of heaven. And you see where that got him. You know what I'm saying? So it will be an end to that for him as well. But you see the devil was immaculate. The minister of music, they said beautiful. You would never, the horns and red, that's what they show you, but that's not it.
No.
The devil is beautiful. And people don't understand, the same people that they look up to, it's just an image.
That's it.
It's not truly who they are.
Right.
And you got to look deep inside a person's heart. But in order for people to know who a person really is, they got to know who they are first.
Right.
You got to know who they are first.
Now, you got an apparel shop, too.
Yeah, I'm kicking it back off. I mean, I've been slacking.
Where can they find you?
Well, they'll have to get on my Chaney Forever Facebook page or follow Birmingham Outlaws on Facebook. I'm thinking about change. My Instagram is called The Great Chaney Experience, and that's because I do so much that everything is an experience. Like I'm a day to day. Tomorrow I may feel like just focusing solely on clothes. The next day I might focus on I might feel it on the right movie. So that's why I call it The Great Chaney Experience, because it's an experience. Everything I'm experiencing is great to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It may be great to others, but I know it's great to me. So I do things for me.
What about the production company?
Production company, now that's right now on hold, but I'm trying to get one movie out next year. I am trying to get one movie, but it got to be meaningful. So if people are interested in maybe acting or something like that, they can reach out, because I want new actors. I don't want to keep using these 2001, 2002 like Birmingham actors, because the reason I'm saying it like that is, like in 2000, they all use Morris Chestnut,
right?
Gabrielle Union,
yes sir,
Nia Long. You seen them in every movie. Only thing was different about the movie was the title.
That's it.
So I don't want to keep using the same actors or whatever, and especially. So I'm trying to get new talent and give people an opportunity to showcase that. But everything has to be done with love, man. Money is not a problem. We can make money.
Right.
The problem is keeping it and letting your money make money is what I want people to do.
Right.
Yeah.
So how can they find you? Because you got several sources.
Yeah, just go, reach out on. I'll say go on the Instagram and reach out on The Great Chaney Experience and find that page, and I'll write back. no. If it makes sense, if it makes sense, I'll check the DMs. If it makes sense, I don't, I have to filter through some stuff,
Right.
because nowadays people don't talk, so they don't even really know how to put together full sentences. Like, everything is just abbreviations, and it's like,
Right.
man, how do you expect me? It takes me more work. That should be a college course. For real now, like they should let you major in abbreviations on social media because, man, what in the world is this? TUHB? Like, man, like, come on, man. So that's what we need to do now, man. That should be a major. But yeah, they can hit me up on the Instagram, and I'll reach back out.
I appreciate you.
Man, same here.
I appreciate you. Eyes on Smash Bros Radio. Have a great weekend. Take care of yourself. Happy holidays. Be safe. Peace.